Well, that didn't take very long. Yeah, so I beat the first Borderlands expansion in about 3 to 4 hours. Completed all this main story, completed all the side quests, everything. Suffice to say, we've got a bit of a quick one for you guys today, for some reasons that I'll explain soon enough. We're going to be taking a look at the first DLC of the original Borderlands, so if you want my views on how the first game played out, I definitely recommend watching that video first. You gotta eat your dinner before you have your dessert, and if Borderlands is like a pizza, the zombie island of Dr. Ned is going to be the ice cream. But kinda like dairy-free ice cream. And it only fills up like half the bowl. This analogy sucks. But you know what doesn't totally suck? That I'm streaming live on Twitch. So if you want to catch up on some of my live gameplay and thoughts for future videos, want to hang out and have some fun, or want to join in the highly contentious debate of whether green olives are good or not, spoiler alert, the answer we came to? Sometimes. If you're interested, I have added a link to my Twitch page in the description of this video. And if you enjoyed the video today, I made you laugh, or I brought back a memory of this game for you, maybe consider giving the video a like and subscribing so you get updated whenever new content is released. So, Borderlands' first jump into DLC started with the zombie island of Dr. Zed. Oh, hold on. Dr. Ned, there we go, my mistake. The first expansion was announced 5 days before the launch of the base game, and released in late November of 2009. Interesting timing on this one for sure. I don't recall too many games at the time actually announcing their DLC before the launch of the base game. But hey, seeing that it's a 2K published IP, I guess questionable DLC practices should be the expectation. I'm not sure if this is a popular opinion or not, but 2K have my vote for the absolute worst company when it comes to monetization in video games. Any company that requires me to pull out a fucking spreadsheet in order to figure out what I'm buying has already lost me. But to sort of immediately contradict myself, I actually don't completely object to how this DLC was announced before the launch of the original game in this instance. I believe what exists in this downloadable content is both substantial and different enough from Borderlands that it warrants the title of expansion. Yeah, I'm jumping the gun a bit here by telling you my take right off the bat, but I enjoyed the expansion. It's got problems, it's got some annoying things, it's also not very long, but it is something I think is worth playing if you enjoyed the base version of the original game. And interestingly enough, gave a lot of signs of what to expect in the series' future. The zombie island of Dr. Ned brings the Vault Hunters to Jacob's Cove, an island that is cut off from the rest of Pandora that can only be accessed via fast travel. Something that is a little disappointing because I did enjoy the ability to walk or drive anywhere in Pandora for that sense of an interconnected world, but maybe it's for the best that they are connected because Jacob's Cove is being overrun by zombies. The Vault Hunters are tasked with finding Dr. Zed. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Dr. Ned, to join together to find a cure for the zombie threat. Along the way, they liberate the town in Jacob's Cove, which essentially acts as the hub for the player. After meeting with Dr. Ned, yes, this is a real separate character, stop asking questions.
The mustache is fake.
Oh, really? Oh, what do you know, it is you.
We begin searching for a cure. Turns out the people who have taken the cure have turned into were-skags. Not long after that, we have an encounter with a claptrap unit that shares with us that Dr. Ned is actually behind the zombies. No way. Why would someone who lives in a place like this do something so bad? Anyways, we find proof, transmit it to Jacobs Corporation, a company that likes making weapons out of wood, okay? And they send us a shuttle to get off the zombie-infested Dead Haven.
A few moments later. Eventually.
There we go. We return back to Jacob's Cove and make a mad dash to put a stop to Dr. Ned. We find the Mad Doctor in a sawmill and dispatch of him rather quickly. There we go, DLC over, bye.
It's not over yet.
Fuck you, you just got pranked. Yeah, the game got me with that one too. We have our actual climactic battle with Dr. Ned inside this flesh tunnel to cap off the DLC. Pretty standard plot, nothing too crazy going on, but there is something to be noted with the writing in this downloadable content. Remember the comparison between the writing styles I made in my Borderlands video between the first and second entry? I think we found the missing link between the two, because the humor and writing sees a much greater focus with this expansion.
Hey, I pooped right where you're standing.
Yep, that's the somewhat cringy humor that I know from the series, but there are still some jokes that I think really do hit home.
Like, whoa, Skaggy, you wouldn't believe what happened to me. The misery machine broke down. Like, I know that's not news, but I found this town and there's like no one there.
There's a greater focus on giving these characters more dialogue and more humorous interactions. This goes from the fourth wall breaking jokes that you saw earlier, to the larger amounts of voice lines given to NPCs, to the narrative itself being played more for laughs as opposed to the somewhat more serious nature of the first game. There are also a ton of narrative and visual references to things such as The Exorcist, Scooby-Doo, Night of the Living Dead, hell, even fucking General Hospital gets a reference of all things. I believe that this tonal shift in the writing is the greatest indicator of this not being content that was held back from their base game. Clearly there was a change in design philosophy for this aspect of Borderlands late into the initial game's development, which is where this DLC started to take the series. The other most apparent change is the shift in setting from the wastelands that we're used to. Yes, this expansion takes us across a swamp in the dead of night that brings us a much needed environmental cleanse to the original game. We have a new color added to the sun-baked brown of the arid Badlands, and that is the deep forest green of Jacob's Cove. There is also actual fauna to see, and some different pieces of the environment that provide more visually appealing points of interest. In fact, let me just say, I believe that the individual areas are each more strongly designed than the base game. For the most part. They did bring back Old Haven, one of my least favorite areas in Borderlands, and reskin it with an undead style flavor, and I'm not the biggest fan. The enemies here are a little less oppressive. The area is a little bit more linear now because it tunnels you down the main path in order to complete all of the objectives there. But other than that, it's essentially just a glorified palette swap. The other areas, though, were very strong. The main area of Jacob's Cove opens up more and more as the Vault Hunters progress through the plot, and essentially acts as the DLC's hub, connecting it to all the other areas in the expansion. Hollow's End gives me massive Nightmare Before Christmas vibes, with the Oogie Boogie inspired treehouse and the pumpkin patches that are a visual marvel. Walking out onto the hill of the Moonlit Mansion and General Lee Hospital was a highlight of the expansion for me, as the visual design really piqued my sense of wonder as I eagerly ascended my way to the top. The lumberyard of the mill also provided some interesting new locales to discover. One downside I will say is the lack of fast travel points. There is really only one in the beginning of Jacob's Cove. Coupled with the lack of vehicles in this DLC, there's going to be a whole lot of walking, which means a whole lot of... The enemies this go around are all undead. Aside from Dr. Ned in the final encounter, there isn't a single gun-wielding enemy in this expansion, and this is just kind of okay. I felt the standard zombies were a little bit uninteresting to fight. They're the fodder that go down in a couple shots but can overwhelm you if you aren't careful. If the boomer from Left 4 Dead was split into two separate enemies, that would give us the Defiler and the Suicider. Defiler focusing on the vomit, while the Suicider focusing on the exploding. The Tankenstein is a bit of an interesting enemy. Electric damage heals him a considerable amount, and he also throws exploding barrels like he's fucking Donkey Kong.
Okay.
Next we have Pumpkinhead, essentially a reskin Crom from the base game. It was still a rather entertaining fight. Finally we have the Wereskags to round off the new enemies with an ability to go berserk, increasing damage and health until they were taken down. The side quests...
Fearless Zombie Killer! New missions are available at the Jacob's Cove bounty board.
The side quests are integrated into the main plot in a much stronger way than the base game. Each one fleshes out Jacob's Cove, Dr. Ned, and the Jacobs Corporation in interesting ways. None of the side quests do much unique outside of the typical Borderlands affair gameplay-wise, but because the dialogue is more pronounced, it's easier to be distracted that we're essentially doing the same things, making these quests a little less monotonous. For the most part. The Brains series of quests are just a complete waste of time. You essentially need to collect nearly 500 brains, which occasionally drop from zombies. But if you pick up the brains before accepting the quests, they don't count towards your total, which is exactly what happened to me. Honestly, unless you're going for a completionist run, skip these quests. Or at least only do the ones you get along the way, because grinding these out was simply not fun. And that's about all there really is to say about this DLC. Like I mentioned earlier, I beat almost everything in about 3 hours, with an additional hour dedicated to collecting brains. Seriously, that fucking sucked. All in all, I do think this is at least worth playing if you enjoyed Borderlands 1. Priced at $9.99, chances are you are either a person that paid for this price at launch, or like me and received it from the Game of the Year edition that you probably got for less than the initial asking price for a single one of the DLCs. If I were to have bought this at its original price back in 2009, I probably would have been a little disappointed by the length. As it stands today, I don't really see any reason not to jump in right after finishing the base game. The Zombie Island of Dr. Ned is a decent little romp that provides some funny writing, interesting locales, and tons of zombies to shoot that I believe ultimately falls a little short of the quality of the first game, but something that is still worth your time. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. I'll be continuing my look back at the Borderlands DLC with Mad Moxie's Underdome Riot, which... I've heard some pretty mixed things about. So, thank you guys for watching. What was your favorite memory of the Zombie Island of Dr. Ned? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys again. I'll catch you in the next one.